4, 3, 2, 1. Finals. Match 1.
It all has been coming down to this. In the bottom left here in the blue, the Polish contender. He is
Ego Esports, Elazer.
And that's upright, the reigning champion of this circuit. This is
ENCE Esports, Serral.
It's an absolute honor to be bringing you guys the first 2 games of this grand final, Serral versus Elazer, a match that has happened a lot in the past. And even though Elazer only beat Serral twice, 2 of them were actually very big series. One of them was the finals of a challenger in 2018, and the other one was the WCS event we were talking about. It wasn't Valencia, but it was Montreal in 2017. So he did defeat Serral at big stages, but I mean, Serral, it almost becomes boring to praise him because we have praised him so freaking much. But the thing is, though, he deserves it. If there's something that we can be negative about, or something that we can pick out, we'll gladly do it. But Serral is a sweetheart. Serral is always humble. Serral is funny. Above all, he is just beyond amazing at StarCraft 2.
Whenever I read someone say anywhere, whether it be Twitch chat or forum otherwise, that he's overrated or he wins because his race is OP, my head actually caves in on itself and I need weekend surgery to get it back up to its regular size. It really is one of the dumbest things you will ever read in text formation.
It is amazing to say that, like, this year we feel that he's more beatable than last year. If you look at his 2019, he's like, has Serral been bad this year? You go over all of his results, right? Second place in WCS Winter for almost everybody. That's amazing. For Serral, apparently that's a disappointment. Second place in WCS Summer is like, well, Serral really doesn't have it anymore. He struggles. Once again, anybody else, you would applaud him. Second place at WESG is like, Serral didn't win. No, but he got second again. I think the only somewhat disappointing performance he truly had was maybe the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, where it was a quarter-final. I mean, quarter-final for so many other players. Like, he had a good run, he had a strong showing, and for Serral, that's apparently the absolute worst that he's capable of.
Round of 8 was his worst result this year in all the big hundreds of thousands of dollar tournaments that he's played into this year. So this is a pretty standard, safe opening for both players, a 2.5 minute or roughly their third hatchery for both of them. Let's talk about the game real quick. Exact mirrored builds. Nothing really out of the ordinary here on a new Repugnancy.
So if Elazer is going to win this entire grand final, I really think it's gonna, like, I know that his late game looked very good, and a lot of people be like, damn, you know, he looked fantastic in late game against Dark, and he did, you know, the very late game with the Vipers, he looked great. But do you know who's way, way, way better at it than Elazer is? That's Serral. Like, when it comes to Vipers, he's just the absolute best. And even though he lost that one game against Rainer on Thunderbird a couple weeks ago, even up to that final fight,
he was winning that game.
He was winning that game, and he was playing as beautiful as always. You don't want to play those kind of ZVZs against Serral. If Elazer is going to win it, it's going to be by some tech choices, maybe Mudas when Serral's not aware of it, or just very strong Ling Bane play, because I do believe that Elazer has the skills to hold his own in the early stages, and definitely the mid game as well against Serral, but I wouldn't play too many lurker games and stuff like that.
Serral's getting some Lings out on the map here. Both players have got their Baneling nest finished up, so we see Elazer making a couple defensive Banes here. Serral splitting a couple Lings up from the pack just to try and sneak past the naturally known Serral is so on point with his scouting, and just like that. Straight into the main base with a low hit point. Ling gets a look in, sees that there's no lair just yet. Gets a look at the gas saturation as well.
Yeah, starts his own lair immediately, actually, on the right top side. But obviously there is that Baneling nest, and that can always be used for safety. So far, indeed, still pretty identical, other than the fact that Serral's stacking a bit quicker. There we do see +1 melee. Range. I'm expecting to do the same from Elazer, because this is not really a map where you go for upgraded Zerglings. I hope to see some of that in this grand final, maybe on Acropolis or on Thunderbird. I think +1 melee builds are really cool, but I think this is much more of a roach map.
Always nice to get a Baneling there with that Zergling, so of course small, not too critical. Lair starting up for Elazer, and you're spot on there, Roddy. +1 attack coming out for the ranged units. Elazer going to get into the roach production soon enough as well.
One thing that is kind of nice is that Serral in general obviously plays very safe, right? Because he's so confident and he knows how freaking good he is in this game that he kind of covers all the checkpoints, but Elazer can probably cut a few more corners here and there and just be a little more greedy. So you shouldn't be surprised in this grand final if you're going to see a team where Elazer often is a couple drones ahead as long as nothing happens. That's just because Serral is trying to cover everything, and Elazer knows if I'm going to be like the most safe version of myself ever, I'm probably not going to win this. So it's more likely that Elazer is going to cut a couple corners here and there and just play a little more greedy, a little more ambitious, and in that way get a tiny bit ahead and then turn it into a real game.
It's both players with 3 bases, 5 gases have been taken. And Serral moving across the map with some slow banelings, a handful of lings as well. Looks like he's just trying to poke, maybe like gut check the defense of Elazer, see if there's any weaknesses.
Yeah, he's making a lot of roaches behind all of this as well. Look at Elazer, by the way. Elazer is up 9 workers, and he's going up to 4 bases quicker than Serral is. Serral seems like he's had enough of it. Maybe he has somehow identified that his opponent is indeed playing a very greedy game. As he drops down, the Nidus network, that lair was quite a bit quicker. The +1 range was quicker as well for Serral. Don't forget about that. So Serral is going to try to force a fight while he has +1 and Elazer does not.
So, going to try and decide this one in the mid-game. Elazer trying to get some Dropper Lord action happening here. We know Dropper Lords with Roaches have been fighting their way back.
That's a scout. That's a scout.
There it is. He sees the Nidus Worm there with that Overseer. Good stuff for Elazer. Going to have to get those Roaches on the edge of those creeps to make sure nothing happens to the main base.
Yep.
It's going to be right at the front here.
Very smart by Elazer to immediately cancel his Dropper Lord plan to keep the units at home. He's going to use his Banelings on the Nidus network, so at least he's going to buy some time for himself there. Elazer gets his own +1. He accidentally picks up a couple of his own Roaches.
Well, he could put some of the hurt ones up in there like a Warp Prism, I guess, but that's a little bit tricky. It is kind of working, though. Elazer, nice juggling there. Serral can reinforce right in front of him, though, with that Nidus Worm. He's still holding this line. Elazer with the Queens, really helping himself out there in the defense. Yeah, Serral still with so many more Roaches.
Yeah, the reinforcements are about to show up. Elazer has a lot of units in production, and if all of these units show up, I actually think Elazer should be fine here. That fight obviously went quite good because of all the Queens he had there as well. A couple drones. Whoa!
When did that happen? I didn't even see that at all. The Nidus going into the main base. Serral inside. The lair here of Elazer getting on those drones. 7 of them have gone down. Not the massive drone lead for Serral, though. He needs to do this damage. And a Roach run by the third at the same time. Serral everywhere at once, it seems.
Yep, and he still has a lot of Roaches in the main base. He's winning the fight in the main base. That's massive. GG.